In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to add rain to our video and how to add, a little bit more explosion to it, also adding more blood. And as you can see, I've added puddles, okay? And if I didn't say rain, we're adding rain. And we're doing also some color corrections, okay? So there's several things we're adding in here. And so where you'll need to start at is, let's go back here for a second, and let's go to your lightning exercise. We don't need to save that. Your lightning exercise file, your After Effects file. Now, this is the second video I'm posting on doing this process, because the first time I went and did it, I was having a hard time adding that different sky in where we had clouds, okay? And so I ended up adding it to a rendered MP4 of this video right here, okay? And the problem with it was I couldn't get the sky to line up all the time, so I was having to reposition it. But then I finally figured out how to add it in correctly to this original film. And it's going to work much better this way, okay? So that's why I'm posting another video here. And if you haven't started on this part of the project, or the exercise, I should say, then this is the video you should watch. This is the tutorial. So what we're going to start with is this. We're going to go to our video layer with the girl walking, and that's layer 5 down here. Okay, as you see, I don't know if you have more layers, that's fine, but this is the one we need right here. And we're going to duplicate this. So Control D on PC, Command D on a Mac. We are going to go and rename this. So we're going to right click and look for rename. And we're going to name this mask. Okay. Then we're going to go and add levels to this. And the way you can do that is by going over to your effects preset and type in levels and double clicking on it. Okay, it's not adding that. So, we got to make sure we're on that layer. So we're on the mask layer. All right, make sure you're on the mask layer, okay, when you do this. So now it's added it, okay? There's another way to add it too. You can always go up under here and go up under effect and go color corrections and then look for levels this way, okay? Main thing is you want to make sure it's on this layer. And I'm just rechecking that. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to bring over the darkest area here. So we're clicking on this arrow right here in our histogram. And bring it over to where it's pretty dark, okay? Like that. And then we're going to come over here and add another, like if we click at the bottom here, see? I'm adding another one that's going to be for our lightest area. I'm going to bring that over there. And then what we're trying to do is we're trying to darken this up as much as possible without we're trying to reveal the sky as being white. And mind you, when we make a mask in any program, what is black is the one that's being, anything that's black is covering up, and anything that's white is revealing, okay? And so I can only get so far with using levels. So I'm going to actually have to paint. And the best way to do that is we're going to have to double click this so it will change this view here, okay? So this view will show you this little bar down here, and you got these little figures going across here. I don't quite know what this view is called. I should look it up because, a lot of times I'm just, I'm so busy playing around in here. I haven't learned all the terminology I should. But anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to get a paintbrush. And you want to make sure that your paint over here, and if you haven't seen this, you want to make sure you go to your paint and make sure that this is set to black, your foreground color is set to black. Make sure the duration is set to constant, because you can actually paint on a single frame if you want, okay? Make sure your timeline indicator is all the way over to the start. And then make sure you come and get a brush. And I've had, even right now, I'm having trouble getting a brush. I don't know why that is. I'm going to click off this for a second and go to this tool and then go back to my brush tool. And now I can get to my brush. I don't understand that at all. I was having a difficult time trying to get to my brush. And so I would click on my brush and change the color, change that to constant, and it wasn't painting. And then finally I figured out, well, I need to click on a brush. And sometimes I don't know why it does that. So I'm not going to complain too much more. Anyway, if you hold down your command key and scroll up and down outside of here or anywhere here, really, it'll make your brush larger and smaller. I'm so used to Photoshop that you use your left and right bracket to make your brush larger and smaller, but in After Effects it's different, okay? So what we're doing is we're painting all down below here. And if you need to change your brush size, you just change it. We'll come up here. I'm using my space bar to help move around faster. I wouldn't worry too much about up too close here. In here, yes, these are buildings down there. Okay, let's scrub over here. We'll enlarge my brush a little bit more so we can get this done a little faster. And you just want to get everything out in the street. And that's fine right there. Maybe this little tree part here. And I'm using my mouse right now because if I use my Wacom pen, I can't scroll to enlarge. All right, no. But I just switched to my Wacom pen right now. Okay, so now I'm just going to cover up this little area here because these are branches. And we can cover up that and maybe this. All right, so now let's zoom out here. And if we come and double click this, and well, actually we're going to double click down here. We want to be in our first composition here. So in our composition here, composition girl walking, that's the one we want to be in. If that gets confusing, you can always just click on this. This should be the one that will lead you back to the primary composition. And therefore you can turn off and on your mask, okay? So you can see that. If you play it, you'll see most of hers. Now, you see that right there? What's popping up down there? Because there's areas in the film that get brighter. Well, what I realized is as long as I know where those are at, so I know that they're, I'm trying to say that I know where they're at now, that if we go and bring the timeline indicator back here and then go back to our mask and double click it, okay, and get back into this painting mode. And this is what really gets confusing to me sometimes, is getting into these different modes here to where you can paint. Let me make my brush larger, and I'm just going to paint all the way in here like this. Okay, and then let's go back to our girl walking there. Now let's play it. And now I got that because obviously when I was painting the first time, it didn't pop up. Now what's happened here is this is the girl gone video part that we had created where we had masked her out so she disappears. So we're going to have to put this mask in there, but we're not done yet, okay? So we're going to put the sky in. The way we're going to do that is you got to go down to your girl walking video layer. Toggle your switches, okay? This is down here at the very bottom, and I'm hoping that you guys can see this. I'm going to bring this up just a little bit, just in case this is getting cut out of the video here. And we toggle so you can see this. It says no matte. Well, we're going to add in this as our matte, okay, or mask. Now nothing's changed, but you notice it turned that layer off. Now let's come over here and we see where it says alpha matte selected. We're gonna actually just click that and change it to Luma matte. Now I made everything black, but then we're gonna come over here and do invert. Okay. Now what's happening is the background turns black because that's our composition setting. Okay. So if you go into your composition settings, and if you were to change your color to something like this. See, it changes that. Oops. We click here, click here. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a video underneath this layer. Okay? So let's go back to our project window, which is over here. And if you can't get to it, you can go this way. You know, see these two little arrows that go down to project window. Okay, I haven't loaded this up yet, so we'll do Command I or Control I for you guys. And we're going to go look for it. Now, this is something you should have downloaded by now. And if you haven't, you need to go up into our class and download this. And I'm going to go up to our class in just a second here. But we're going to go to, I'm going to my raining or lightning demo file. And this is it, Storm Clouds MP4. We're going to open that. Okay? And then we're going to drag this down below here. Now this, let me go back to my class here, in here, and I'm just seeing who had already submitted this. So let me go into our contents. And we've got exercise files for video 2. And so that's this one right here, okay, Storm Clouds. And that's the one you're going to need to put in here. And so, as you can see, it puts it in there. Well, oh, I apologize. I always do that. If I'm not in the right thing and I click that, it makes that sound. So I wasn't in After Effects, and so I did not know what to do. I hit the space bar. Okay, so the sky pretty much disappears because, as far as the clouds, because when it gets to here, we've got the Gone Girl, where she's been masked out. That layer showing, okay? So anyway, one thing I want to do is let's play around with hue and saturation. So I'm going to go over to my effects window here, effects and presets, and type in hue, and it should show us hue saturation. And make sure you're on the storm cloud layer, okay? And double click it, and we're going to we can colorize it, actually, if we wanted to. When you colorize it, you can actually change the color of it. See, I'm scrolling here on hue and saturation under color hue, and all I'm doing is doing that. If I uncheck that, we can change the color a little bit this way too. All right. But what I want to do is let's lower down and make it just a little. We don't want to make it too dark because that makes our branches lighter, and that's not right. So I'm just adjusting the color just a little bit here, okay, and we'll just darken that just a little bit here. Now we can also play around this. Oh, that's a saturation. This right here is the saturation. I apologize. Like I said, I'm still learning this. This is actually where we're changing the hue here, and it's a low amount of what it's changing unless you go to colorize, okay? Because if you go to colorize, then you have to slide this around. And I apologize for going back and forth here, but I'm going to uncheck that. And all I wanted to do was just kind of make it a little darker and change the tint of it just a little bit, so it really kind of feels stormy. And that's not bad, you know. I'm just playing around with it. Okay, now here's the deal. We're gonna go into this Gone Girl layer. You know, if we double click it, this is where a lot of this stuff was happening, where we masked her out. Now, I know she's not there right now, but if we play it, there she is, or there she isn't because we masked her out. Remember, we have we have all these fills on that's masking her out. So let's go back to our girl walking comp, which is our main comp, okay? And let's go and click on the mask, and we're going to copy that, okay? You go edit and copy. I think you can do Control C, and it will copy that. I'm hoping. I'm crossing my fingers on that. And then we go back up to this layer and double click on it. And we're going to go to the bottom layer here of our video where she's at, or where she is not at now. And we're going to go and do Command or Control V, and Now, what's weird is it doesn't say mask, but it is a mask. I don't know why that did that. But we're going to go to the front here. And if we turn that on, you see that? So it actually copied that layer, but it didn't bring over the name mask, which is fine. I just want to make sure it's in there. So let's go and toggle our switches so that we can see this. And on the bottom layer, and if we want to, we can change. If it helps you, we can rename this layer in here in this comp. There we go. See, it just, I don't know what, I didn't even type that in there. I just went to rename it, did that. Some kind of glitches going on here, okay? So let me continue here. So we're going to be on the bottom layer where she's supposed to be at. Now what's happening is that this is filling up here, okay? Don't worry about this being shown yet, okay? That's not what we're concerned with. But go down to here, and we're going to check mask. So it will do this. We're going to go to Luma mask, which will do that. Okay. And then we're going to come over here and do click invert. And then let's go back to our project window over here. And we're going to bring over the storm and bring it underneath everything. So, okay. So now we got those storm clouds in there. Now let's zoom out here. Now it's not lining up. And this is a problem because of where the mask is at. And you got to realize that if we look at these layers here, and if we look at the storm cloud layer, and if we look at the mask layer, they actually extend out because they're longer. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on the mask layer that we have and bring it over. We're just going to drag it over here until we get to the end of it. Now we're not cropping it, we're not cutting it, we're just bringing it over so it lines up here. Okay, and I'm looking at this little niche here, that little corner piece telling me that's the end there. Okay, and notice everything lines up better now. Okay, I'm playing this, and so that's how we get that to be correct. And that does a pretty good job of masking that part out. So let's go back over to here, girl walking, and play everything. And there, where she's vanished, so is that. Now we have a little white thing there. I'm just trying to ignore that. That could be a little highlight on the building there, or whatever. But that's just me being picky, And this looks a lot better than the other version that I had done in the tutorial I'd done on Sunday on how to add the rain, because we don't have to move this mask around anymore. Okay. Anyway, all right. Now that you've done that, you can save this, and then we want to go and we want to render this. Add to render queue. Okay, we're not gonna adjust anything here. We want full size when we render it. Okay, really, we want to click here on output to do it to your desktop. Okay, do it to your desktop. We got girl walking, but we'll call this one lightning. I'll do lightning exercise. And if you want to, you can upload this video up. Okay. But let's hit save. And then let's render this. It's going to take a second because there's a lot to render. We're halfway there, so just bear with me. I'm not editing my videos like the professionals do on YouTube that, there's all these great tutorials up there, and these guys just sound so great, and they always show pictures of themselves, and they're all hyped up and happy and fun and enjoying this, and, It's I just don't have the energy to go and edit and put myself in like that. So I'm just going to ramble on here for a second until this gets rendered out. I apologize. But anyway, I'm hoping this gets done here. And then it gets slower. Anyway, as this is getting done, let me just minimize this window here. It might as well, it's going to pop up here. See that right there? It's starting to pop up. But what you're going to need to do is, as that's rendering out, we are going to make another folder, okay? And in this folder, you're going to put in let me just make an extra. There it goes. It finally did it. I'm going to make a new folder and show you what to do here. So we're going to make a new folder. We're going to call this one, I say, raining. You could call it raining exercise. But we'll just call it raining. And what we're going to do is we're going to put this MP4 in it. Whoa, that was loud. Anyway, we're going to put that in it, and then you need to download this other stuff on our website, okay? So you're going to need to download these splotches. And I've downloaded them already. I'm the one that made them, so they're on my computer to begin with. I'm just going to copy this. I have a folder that I call More Blood. You could make a folder for it if you wanted to, so you could put your assets in it and call it whatever you call it, assets. I'm going to drag this over here. Whoa, I apologize for that being so loud again. And so now I did that. So really what you want is you want your blood splotches and your lightning exercise MP4 in here. And then we're going to go to After Effects. And then we're going to go to New Project. And we could... I'm not going to save it because I've done enough of these. I've got a version of that already. And then we're going to go to New Composition from Footage. Look for our folder that we just created, which was Raining Exercise. This is it right here. And click on this and import it in, okay? And so now it's imported in. Now the reason why it's red, remember I changed this composition setting here. I'm just wondering. Yeah, there we go. So, anyway, we are going to work on this on top of this. And we're going to do a few things here. We're going to add rain. We're going to change the color. We're going to add the puddles in. We're going to add even more splotches of blood. So let's get started. And first thing we're going to do is we'll make a new layer. And this is going to be an adjustment layer. And first thing we're going to do is, we could add in the rain in a moment, but we're going to use a color setting here. And we're going to look for Lumetri, I believe it's called. Yeah, well, let me look over here. This is where I know to find it. I apologize. So let me get out of here for just a second and click back on this layer. All right. So fact, color, correction. Yeah, it's Lumetri color, okay? There we go. And by the way, I'm going to click over here for just a second. I think we can get back to our project here. But I learned about this here. So in After Effects, they got tutorials. And they show you how to add rain and change your color. And this is a very quick little tutorial. And it explains it very well, okay? I just wanted to show you that, where I've learned this from. So anyway, we're going to go to Creative. And where it says Look, and it says None, we're going to go change None to Blue. Because this is what they say to do. Because you could change it to many things, okay? So SL blue or matrix blue, Okay, and I mean, you could really go in here. We could do, if we wanted to make it look like film noir, kind of black and white. We could do all that. It's really cool because there's a lot of settings here. And let me go back to what I had here. I apologize. I get it carried away. There you go. We've got Matrix Green tune, Matrix Mars, but we'll change that. And then let's take the saturation down. And that really makes it look kind of much more dreary by taking that saturation down. And I didn't take it down too much. I took it down to 78. I like to do this, faded film. So I'm going to up this a bit, and this is just going to kind of give this little older, a little bit more worn, but also it kind of just adds to the dreariness of the whole video. And maybe to that, you got to play with it yourself. There's other things you can do in here. You can play with, like temperature. We can lower the temperature more, so it really kind of cools it down. And this is up under color. This is not under creative. Okay. Exposure, how much exposure there is. If we want to adjust that a little bit. There's so many things you could do in here. It's incredible, and this is only one of the color settings. Okay, I'm sorry for going back and forth there. I'm trying to get that back down to where I had it. I don't mind it there, really. I'll just leave it there. Shadows, if we want to make our shadows a little bit darker, well, that's our highlights. So we'll make our highlights a little darker. There's all kinds of settings you can do on this, and as you can see, it does a pretty good job of changing that to make it look much more cloudy and dreary. Now, once we've done that, we're going to add rain. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do we could do it on an adjustment layer. So and let's go down to the first one here that we added with the color, and we'll just rename it. So because we're going to be adding all these layers in, it's good to keep track of this. We'll call this one color adjust, and this will be called rain. Okay, so make sure you're on this rain adjustment layer, and we're going to go to effect, and we're going to go to simulate, and we're going to put in CC rainfall. And you can always look up for it over here too, but this is kind of where I'm used to looking for it. So CC rainfall, as you can see, just puts in rain. Let's play this. Looks good, but it's just raining way too hard. And if that was the case, whoa, she, her hair would not have so much body to it. So let's adjust the rain, and we can let it play as we're adjusting it a little bit. So, we got size, we got drops. Let's bring the drop number down a little bit. Okay, so it's not raining as much. And that's a little bit better, okay? And we can zoom in here so we can see this better. That is probably what I'm looking for. You can change the speed too, so it's not coming down so fast. I'll change the speed down a little bit more. Yeah, just slow it down a little bit, because it's drizzling, okay? And they do have a drizzle feature here, but it doesn't do what you think it is. If we want to change the tilt, so it's kind of blowing in a little bit, we can go to wind, and if you move it, you can see now it's coming in at a little bit of an angle, okay? That's not bad, depth. Let's go in here. There's screen depth. So right now, all this stuff is sort of in the foreground, which is fine. And I've changed the drop amount. I'll up the drop amount again here. But if we go to depth here, if we increase that, it just makes it feel like there's raindrops coming down that are closer to us and ones that are a little further away. So it adds to the depth of it, okay? So I'm going to go back and lower the amount of raindrops coming out. Okay. And I'm just playing around here until I get what I'm looking for. Then we'll zoom out. I'm stopping my... Come down here and stop that. And I don't know what happened there. Oh, my drops are at 0. When I was trying to get down here, I accidentally scrubbed that to 0. Okay. Yeah, I like that. And we'll zoom out just a little bit here. Now, we can also play with how opaque they are. So if we want a little bit more opaque. So we got some in the foreground that really pop out. Another thing you can always do to it, and I learned about this in one of the video Copilot tutorials, and that is we could play around with adding a blur to this. So we can come over here and type in Gaussian and add a blur to this, and we can blur these just a little bit too. So they're a little blurry, because what they are is they're little lines. And we can play around with this some more, but there's so much you can do with this. You can also, if we wanted to, if we had snow on the ground, or if it looked like a snowy thing, there's also a feature. And let me go here, and I just want to show you where this is at. But you can actually add snowfall in, okay? So there's all kinds of things you can do to a scene. All right, that's not bad. I like that. Okay, so next thing I want to do is make puddles. All right, and the way we're going to do that is I'm going to take these layers, okay, and I'm going to copy them. So we'll do Command D or Control D. All right, they're all at different spots there, but I think if let me just try this. They're all selected, the copies. Let's go and do pre-compose and see if that will put them all together here. Okay. All right, so let's go back here. It's pre-composed now, and it's sitting on top. And we don't need to go into here. We don't need to go into the pre-composed part, okay? We can actually just go back to our main comp, which is here, okay? And what we're going to do with this is make sure you're on this layer, and then we're going to go to, I believe it's layer we're going to, and transform, okay? We're going to go to layer, transform, and flip vertically. Boom. Now it's upside down. Now let's right-click the layer, and we're going to go to overlay. So now we can see through it a little bit, and we can also want to hit the T key so we can lower the transparency, because what we're going to do is we're going to make a mask. And so I want to see where the sidewalk is in the video that's right side up. So let's go, and we got to make sure we're still on the pre-comp layer. Let's get a pen tool, and we're going to go and click up like this. Go over here, click down here, and then close it off, and boom. Now we've masked that out. And we can adjust this so it goes back in there further, and that looks cool. Now it looks like it's a pool of water, which is okay, but what we're going to do is we're going to make puddles. So let's zoom in here. And the way we're going to make puddles is very simple. As long as we're still in the same layer, we're going to go and just draw. And I'm going to do this. Let me speed this up here to where she gets Yeah, maybe. I just want to see where the blood is at, because it doesn't matter if the puddles are overlapping the blood or not, and it's hard to see with all that stuff going on. But I'm going to just start drawing with the pen tool and making curves. Now you could use the ellipse tool and adjust it, but I'm so used to using the pen tool by making these curves. And once we're done here, we're going to change this. And let's just adjust this so it's not so symmetrical. There we go. Maybe do something like this. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here. Our pre-comp, we're going to turn this little arrow down. You see our mask. Okay, now this is the second mask down here, mask 2. It's orange. I'm going to change it from add to intersect. And boom, that's how we start to get puddles. And the other thing too is we can actually, let me just move this up here. I'm going to move this down here. We can actually feather this just a little bit if we go up under the mask like that. Okay, and we can go and feather it, not that much, maybe 5. And if we go and play it, it starts to look a little bit more like a puddle. Now, mind you, it's having to render itself out here, and that was something I did not do in the original video of showing how to add the rain. I did not feather those masks of the puddles, and I think it does help. I think it makes it look much better. Okay, all right. So that's one. We're going to make several here. Make another one here. I'm going to change its size a little bit. Actually, we could just scrunch it down like this. We don't need to be too picky because this is a tutorial. For you guys, yeah, you might want to play around with making it the best you can. But I've done this so many times. Okay, now let's go up under here. Find that mask. And let's see what the feathering is set at. Okay, so the feathering we're going to we're going to feather it not as much. We're going to feather it about 3, just a little bit. Okay, so now if we play it, you can see it. It's a little fuzzy. What I really like is you can see the reflections. You can see like things happening, like the clouds going by. Now let's go down here. We're going to move up here. We'll just zoom in here and make a few more puddles. I keep using my keyboard shortcuts that I'm used to in Illustrator. And that's why the position just popped up, because I hit the P key, and that does not bring up the pen. So, again, I'm still learning After Effects. There we go. So we got this puddle now. You can make it a little larger, pull it out a little bit more here. Work on the curvature so that it's nice and curvy. Okay. You can also add another point in there, by the way. This is something similar that happens in Illustrator, and that is, you can click and add a point. Okay. I don't know if I can get to that point now. I'm going to do Shift Control A, just so I can deselect, because I try to deselect and sometimes I end up moving the video layer by mistake. All right, so let's go and see. My problem is I get in here and I start to fiddle with things too much. Let's go up under this and find this mask and feather it just a hair here, not much, just maybe 1. Okay, and then we're going to put one more puddle back in here. And let's make sure we're on this, okay. Let's move this. If we can get to it. Yeah. I'm going to move this up a little bit more. Move this in. If it... No. Okay. It's fine like that. So let's get our pen tool. I hit the P key again. And just make one last puddle. And this one we won't feather. It's so far back. Okay. And so I'm going to Shift Control A. Oops. Trying to do Shift Control A. There we go. And let's zoom out here. Now, one of the things we can do with this layer is it's set to overlay. Let's hit T, the T key, and it's set to 90, but we can turn this down lower. Okay. Now they move a little bit, and so that it didn't bother me in the first one that I made, the first video of this, but it's been bothering me lately. So I'm actually going to go in, and one thing I'm going to do is that little puddle back there, I'm going to move up just a little bit if I can. If I could just get to this puddle. Whoops. It got me there. I apologize. There we go. Now I got that. Now we can pull this up somewhere. And we'll stretch it. And maybe even rotate a little bit. And maybe I will give it a slight feather. Okay, so I apologize. It's just me being picky. Okay, so back under here, go to the mask. This mask right here, we'll scroll down to get that. And we can always just type in here. We're going to type 0.5. So it will do this at a small amount. Because I think it's too crisp. And let me play this. Yeah, that's better. That's much better. Okay. Now, I have it set to overlay. We could change this to something else. We could change it. I had it set normal in my original video, which might be better. Look at that. Yeah, it's not so dark. Yeah, this might look much more like a puddle now. All right, and let me hit the T key so we can see. We could probably raise that just a little bit here. And we'll zoom out and play this. I think it could be lower. Okay, so that's what's bugging me right there. Is see they move, and it's because the camera moves. So what we're going to do is we're going to scrub it over here to where they stay stationary. They stay stationary pretty much throughout the rest of the video here. So let's go back to before they, right here. Yeah, okay, right there. Okay, so I'm going to hit the P key on this layer. So go here. I'm going to click on this layer and hit the P. And then I'm just going to click the stopwatch. And then we're going to scrub back here. And I'm going to just move them a little bit. Move them off that wall a little bit. Oops, I didn't want to change that. And so now let's see. I think that's okay. Let me go back here. They move a little bit, but the weird thing is that's that car. I'm looking back here. I see that car reflection. That's distracting. Okay. All right. So anyway, let's move forward here. We'll go back to this layer, and then we'll turn off all this, so we don't need to see the anchor positions of all those layers. And so now let's go in and add more blood coming in. Oh, not just blood. Let's work on the explosion. So when she gets hit by lightning here, this is happening. Well, I'm going to add another. I'm going to come in here and make another layer. And we'll do it right above the bottom layer here. We're going to go layer new, and we're going to do a shape layer. And let's zoom in here and get our pen tool and draw a shape here of her. It doesn't have to be perfect. Oops, I'm off that now. Gotta be careful. Sometimes I've drawn with the pen tool and I get off of it and something, yeah, see? Alright, there we go. Gotta be careful because there's been several times where something happens and I'm not on the path that I should be on. Okay, so we're going to take this and split this up. And we're going to move it to where it begins there. Okay, so what we're going to do is we got to move this whole thing over. We're not scrunching it. You know, this is scrunching it. Okay, or you know, cutting into it. So what we want to do is just move it over like this. Because we're going to do that thing again where we add that polypixel or pixel poly. Yeah. There we go. All right, so what happens is, you know, we're just adding another one of these to how she's getting split up there. And, you know, we can adjust her a little bit, but it's going to happen so fast. I'm just going to get into playing around with this stuff first. So spacing we're going to bring down. So when it goes out, we'll have much more of those. Gravity, we'll lower that gravity a little bit. So it does this. Okay. And then we'll add roughen to it. Come over here to our effects and type in ROUGH for roughen edges and double click that to add that in. And if you notice, we start to move that a little bit. And those edges are a lot rougher. Complexity, we'll up that to 10. Okay, that's cool. Scaling. Yeah, I'm just playing around with this so that when she gets hit by lightning here, we just got much more to look at, okay? And we can play with this some more. You know, we can add in some more features like I was going to change its color. But you know what? Or we can add a Gaussian blur to it. Okay, let's do that. Let's just do US. So we get Gaussian blur, double click that, and we'll blur this just a little bit here, and let's see what it looks like when it comes out here. So now they should be a little bit more blurry, okay? And let's just play this and see again. That's cool. You know, I like that. And I'll just zoom out. Yeah, that one piece bothers me, that triangle coming out. But that's from our original one, okay? So what I'm looking at is just how it's coming off there, because I'm going to add in some more blood. And so let me come out here just a little bit. And so let's go into our project window and do Command-I. And you want to look for those splotches. Mine is under more blood because I made a folder called that. Let's get them all here. We don't have to use them all. And then we can click on, you know, one at a time to see what they look like. All right, this looks like a good one, number 5. And we'll bring it down here below that shape layer here. And we'll move it. And we can scroll this over a little bit so we can see where it's going to go. Okay? Or we can go back to here. And mind you, we're going to move the layer over so it won't be there the whole time, because right now it's there the whole time. So one of the reasons I want to put more blood in is because we can have blood coming off at, or making blood splashes on the ground at different times, so it's going to look much more interesting. So let's bring this over here. I don't mind the color yet, so I think I did a lot of things to the color before, but let me go and do this. We're going to come over, toggle our switches so we can get back to here. And so on this splotch layer, we're going to click and make this a 3D layer so that we can rotate this so it goes back in space. And we can make it a little larger if we want to. It's a little hard to see, so let's zoom in here. Whoa, sorry about that. Yeah, that looks better where it's at. You know, if we wanted to rotate it a little bit, we could rotate it. So let's see. And it happens to blend in with most of the other ones if we want to change something. I know I was changing a lot of things because we could change them depending on where they're located, but this is up under that color correction layer. And, you know, we could change things to them, but I don't know if we need to do that, because I'm going to move this over so it will pop out at a different time. Okay, now let's go, and I can live with what that looks like right now. And we're going to go over to splotch 4 and bring it down in here. Okay, and bring it down. And we'll put 3D on it. We'll zoom in. And we'll change the angle here. Oops. So I'm using the x-axis, okay? Now the z-axis is cool because we can bring it out over here more if we want to. And if we want to rotate a little bit. But let's see what this looks like. I'm going to click off of it. And the problem is it's like a puzzle piece. It fits too closely on next to that puddle the way I did it. So I'm going to rotate it again and move it just a little bit. And yeah, that's better. So it's kind of on the edge of that puddle. Now if we want to, did I name my puddle layer? My puddle layer could actually go up underneath this. We're going to go to this layer where it says all pre-comped and rename it. And we'll call it puddles or poodles. There we go. Okay, and then we're going to drag this up underneath the color corrected layer. Okay, and see what that looks like. And let's zoom out here. And they're much more gloomy looking because they're color corrected. We might need to, since they're color corrected, we might need to bring down the opacity. Let's go or play around with that. But anyway, as you can see, we can put these puddles anywhere in here. Hit the T key. Let me see what blending mode I have it set to. It's set to normal. I had overlay. Let's set this soft light or something. I'm just playing around because I realized that, you know what, I kind of like that. I think that really looks good there. Now, what did I do? If you want to know, let's come over here, check out the blending mode. I set it to soft light, set it at 100%, and it's setting up underneath our color adjustment layer and our rain layer. So now that puddle looks better. Now here's the deal. See that blood splotch? It's there. It needs to appear later, and we'll move it after this other one appears. And let's play that, okay? So you can see here. Yeah, I like that because it comes down last. You know, it's like, and we'll add one more in, okay? We don't have to add them all in. Okay, I like that. Oh, this is a good one. I like this one. All right, so bring this in above 4. We can move this. We could actually put it on the wall here. Okay, so I'm going to enlarge it just a little bit. Let's zoom in here. It may not look bad that way, but let's put 3D on it. Okay, let's make it a 3D object, and we're going to do the Z-axis, I believe. No, we don't need to do the Z-axis. I think it's the Y-axis. Yeah. Yeah, the Y-axis is what we're adjusting there. And see, that looks like it's a little more on there. I do like that. That looks nice, okay? So let me see. It's appearing all the way at the beginning there. But let's make it appear after that. So let's go back here. We'll zoom out. And we got one more thing to do after we do this. See, I kind of like that up here. Okay, let's play that one more time. Just having to render that out. Yeah, see, I like the fact that these things, these splotches of blood are appearing at different times, okay? So anyway now, we've got all that, and it seems to work well. But if you notice something, it's still... the ground feels so dry. We're going to add in some ripples to make it look like water's hitting it, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to go... we can go above the rain layer or underneath it. We can go above the puddle layer maybe. We want to be above the puddle layer, if anything. You could try it at different parts. You can move it around afterwards. But first, let's go and make a new solid layer. We're going to set the color on this layer to be 127. Under RGB, you want to set it to be 127 for all of those. And you can just type it in there, okay, on each of those. And it'll make a 50% gray. And that's very important because of what we're going to be doing, okay? I actually made the width and the height bigger than the composition because we're going to shrink it down afterwards, okay? So now we've got this up under the color adjustment layer. You know what? I'm going to bring it above the rain layer right now. And then we could bring it wherever we need to afterwards. But we're going to go to Effect, Simulate, Drizzle. And as you can see there, it creates these. Now, it doesn't look right, but we're going to put that in 3D in just a second, okay? And actually, you know what? We could let's put it in 3D right now. Let's do that early on. And then we can play... Oops. We want to use the X-axis. Like that, and change it. Oh, not too much there. All right. And zoom out a little bit. And we'll scrunch this. And move it into position down here. All right, that's going to go back a little bit more here. And we'll widen this a little bit more here. We can rotate it a little bit along the Y-axis like that. And we just want to make sure, change the X-axis again. There we go. We want to make sure that that's sitting inside the sidewalk and not on the wall. Okay? And then let's go and change this. We can change it. We could change it to a multitude of things, like meaning that we could change it to overlay. I'm going to put it up under the color adjustment layer for the moment. And let's see about changing this blending mode to overlay and see what it looks like. Okay. And so we don't need to see those all the way in the background. Right now they're a little too dominant. They're too white. They're too big. Too many ripples. Because it feels like it's on a pool of water, which is kind of cool if we had a big pool of water there. But let's play around with, and we could just let that play and render as we're playing around with this. I'm going to bring the ripples down a little bit. Longevity, we're going to shorten it. If we want more drips, we can add more drips in, the drip rate. The ripple height, it really is something that's really distracting. So we're going to bring that height down a little bit. You can lower the spreading. And see, that starts to look a little bit. Let's just let this render out for just a second, just so we can see the whole thing there. Because what we want is we want these little areas where it's hitting the ground. And what we want to do is the lighting, the intensity we can bring down. And that's starting to look better, okay? The light height we can change. Or, better yet, the light direction as it's rendering. If you change this, they get lit at different parts along the ripple, on the edges of the ripple. So that's what I just did there, okay? And that doesn't look too bad. Let me zoom out here. Or we can do this. Let's look at this whole thing here. And yeah, I think this is done, okay? So you'll need to render, once you get to this stage, you get the ripples in, you did your color adjustment, you put the puddles, the additional blood splotches, and the playing around with an explosion, then you save that and render that out as an MP4 and submit that, okay? So we're going to end this tutorial now.